students, I am your Rajni ma'am, and today we are going to continue with the second chapter of class 10th chemistry, that is acids, bases and salts. So in the previous videos you will have seen what are acids, what are the different classification of acid is done, and what are the chemical and physical properties of acids. Now in this video we are going to see about bases, that what are bases. So bases are chemically opposite of acid. That means it neutralizes acid. So bases are chemically opposite. All the properties of bases are chemically opposite to the acids, but and it neutralizes the acids. That's why you have seen the neutralization reaction in chapter 1. Okay students. Now if we define base, that what is a base? So a base is either metal hydroxide or metal oxide or aqueous ammonia, which reacts with acids and form salt and water. So from there you can see that it is a metal hydroxide or metal oxide or aqueous ammonia solution. So that means metal hydroxide, NaOH is metal hydroxide, CaOH twice metal hydroxide, or you can take the example of Al2O3, okay, metal oxide. So what are these? These are the bases which when react with acids it neutralizes it and forms salt and water. Okay students. So from the definition we get to know that the bases are actually metal hydroxide or metal oxide. Now from this we can get this, that the bases are the substance which gives hydroxyl ion. This is hydroxyl ion. So metal hydroxide will give hydroxyl ion, or it is giving oxide ion. So that means it is the base. So bases are the substance which give hydroxide ion when dissolved in the water. Hydroxide ion, NaOH, in the aqueous medium, it will give what it will give? It will give Na plus OH minus, sodium ion and hydroxyl ion. So the substance which gives hydroxyl ion or which give oxide ion are the bases. So that means metal oxides are bases. Okay? Metal oxides are bases, but all metal oxides are not bases. All metal oxides are not bases. Example, if you will take lead 4th oxide, if you will take the example of lead 4 oxide, so PbO2, though it will on reacting with acid it will give salt and water, but then too it is not a base. Okay, so here it is not fulfilling this criteria. Then too when it is reacting with the acid it's giving salt and water, but it is not a base. Okay, so the substance which give hydroxyl ion OH minus ion, the substance which give hydroxyl ion, the substance which give hydroxyl ion OH minus ion or oxide ions are bases. Okay, now one thing more is this is a base, it is a base, it is having this, it is a base. No, it is not a base because it is not ionizing, it is not giving OH minus ion, though it is having oxygen and hydrogen element, but it is not giving ions, OH minus ion, so it is not a base. Okay, now next, the lone pair of electron present in OH minus ion or OH minus ion or O2 minus ion, the lone pair it is present. So which give the lone pair? So we will also call it as a base. जो लोन पेयर दे रहे हैं, एक लोन पेयर, इनके पास लोन पेयर है, oxygen is having, so one of the pair it is giving one of the pair, oxygen is giving one of the lone pair of electrons, so that is a base. So example, H plus ion, so it is having a lone pair, it is giving a lone pair, so the one which is giving a lone pair it is called a base, one which is accepting lone pair it is called acid, and its form water, and its form water. So till here students, it is clear to you all. Now we will see next alkali. Now the next topic we have to study in the bases are alkalis. Now what are alkalis? Already we have seen what are bases are those substances, those compounds, substances which gives hydroxyl ion, OH minus ion in an aqueous medium or give or donate a pair of electron. Okay, so that is base. So now bases which are soluble in water, which are soluble in water, bases which are soluble in water, so only those bases are called alkalis. Means alkalis are the bases which are soluble in water. Clear class? So example, you can take example of sodium hydroxide, ammonium hydroxide. So these are the bases. So it is soluble in water. When you will put it in the water, dissolve in the water, it can easily get dissolved in the water. It is soluble in water. But if we will take example of sodium, calcium hydroxide, it is sparingly soluble. पूरी तरह से नहीं, थोड़ा सा sparingly soluble. But other than this, if we take the example of or so these bases are not soluble in water. They are not soluble. These are not soluble in water. So the bases which are soluble in water are called alkalis. Sparingly soluble base is your calcium hydroxide, and the bases which are not soluble in water are the bases. They are not alkalis. That means all alkalis are bases, but all bases are not alkalis. Understood class? Okay. Now the next topic we have to study in this video is classification of bases. We have to do the classification of bases. So the classification is done on the basis of strength. उनकी strength के basis पे classification की गई है. So the bases are classified on the basis of their strength. So the basis can be strong base or it can be weak base. That means the classification is done on the category of on the criteria of their strength. That is strong base or weak base. Now what are strong base? The bases which completely ionized and give OH minus ion. The bases which completely ionize in water and give OH minus ion are called strong bases. Or in the other definition which we can give, the bases which is having high affinity of proton. प्रोटॉन के लिए हाई एफिनिटी हो बिकॉज दे वांट टू गिव, दे आर डोनेटिंग इलेक्ट्रॉन. सो डेफिनेटली जो प्रोटॉन होंगे उनके पास क्या होगा, दे वांट टू हैव इलेक्ट्रॉन. सो दे व्हेन द बेसिस which they are having the high affinity for proton. So we can understood strong bases by definition that the bases are strong bases are those which can completely ionize in water to give OH minus ion, or in the other what we can understand that the strong bases are those bases which are having high affinity for the proton. Example you can take NaOH, KOH or calcium hydroxide. So these are the strong bases which are having the high affinity for proton or completely ionized to give OH minus ion. So it is now weak bases are opposite to it, which is not completely ionized. It will not get completely ionized. It will not give base. It is not completely ionized to give OH minus ion, or which is having very low affinity for proton. So that is a weak bases. Weak bases means they are having low affinity of proton, or if when you will try to dissolve it in the water, it will not completely ionize to give OH minus ion. So the example of this, we will see the example. Somewhere you will get calcium hydroxide in strong base. There is and sometime you will get to see calcium hydroxide in a weak base. So we will not sometime you will get to see this calcium hydroxide in a strong, and sometime it is seen in the category of the weak base like ammonium hydroxide, ferric hydroxide, ferrous hydroxide. So these are the weak bases. These are the weak bases. Okay. So students, the next topic we have to see in the bases are the general properties of the bases. Now let's check what are the general properties of bases. So if you will taste the base, it is bitter in taste. Okay. If you will touch it, it is soapy in touch. Then it is highly corrosive like your and KOH. Then it can conduct electricity like acid. So these are the general properties of base, and now we will see the chemical properties of bases. So students, now the next topic we have to start with the chemical properties of bases. Now what are the chemical properties of bases? So bases can turn red litmus to blue. So bases can turn, when you will uh, dip it in litmus paper in a base solution, red litmus paper, so it will turn into blue. Now second, when base react with metal, it gives salt plus hydrogen gas. So let's take base when react with zinc metal. So when the bases react with a metal, it gives sodium zincate plus hydrogen gas. Let's balance this. Sodium zincate and hydrogen gas. When it's react with it, it gives sodium zincate and hydrogen gas. Okay, see this. Now it's amphoteric in nature. Few bases, not all the bases, few bases are amphoteric in nature. Let's take the example of aluminum hydroxide, sodium hydroxide. Now what is this amphoteric in nature? Amphoteric means what? When they are reacting with acid, so they are base reacting with acid, but when they are they means that they behave both as acid and base. Okay, they are behaving both. Amphoteric means that they are behaving like acid as well as base, so that is amphoteric in nature. Okay, so let's see the example of this. Aluminum hydroxide when react with sodium hydroxide, it gives sodium aluminate O2 plus 2H2O. So aluminum hydroxide is a base because it is giving OH, but when it is reacting with another base, it is behaving like acid. So amphoteric nature means few bases, when they are reacting with the acid, then fine, they will behave like a base, but when they are reacting with some other base, they will behave like acid. Means their behavior will be both like acid and base. So the third property, few bases are amphoteric in nature. Few bases are amphoteric in nature. Now let's see another property. Now bases when react with acids, it's give salt plus water. Okay, so this reaction is called neutralization reaction. Okay, and the heat when generated when 1 mole of acid completely neutralize 1 mole of base, or 1 mole of base completely neutralize 1 mole of acid. So the heat when generated in this reaction, so that is called heat of neutralization. So examples we have already discussed, so many examples, and you have studied in your previous classes also, like NaOH, like NaOH react with HCl, so that will give NaCl plus H2O. Okay, so already we have seen number of examples for this. Now let's another example. Now let's take the another example of this, that when base react with non-metal oxide if give salt plus water. It gives salt plus water. Take the example of calcium hydroxide is a base when react with carbon dioxide, non-metal oxide. Carbon dioxide is a non-metal oxide. So what it will give? It will give calcium carbonate plus. So hope student you have understood the chemical properties of bases. So keep see this video again and again to have the better understanding. Till then, take care. Thank you class.